Welcome back to Ryan Harris Crypto. I'm Barnaby Ryan.
I'm Jason Harris.
All right, guys, let's get into it. Here we go. Crypto market cap is at $2 trillion. Let's see what coin market cap says. See, it says 2. Told you it would catch up eventually.
Yeah, finally matching this time.
Yeah.
All right, let's dig down into some prices. So we got Bitcoin at 44,000, almost approaching that $45,000 mark. Nice to see that. We got Ethereum still holding over $3,000. BNB still over that 400 mark. Look, Cardano 115, moving its way up, inching its way up. Look at all the green across the board. Just pointing that out to you again every time, every video.
My Spidey
TVL is growing.
My Spidey sense is tingling and going, okay, we're going up pretty fast. Who's about to sell off? I've seen a bunch of articles talking about that today. I was getting that feeling, then I started seeing the articles on it too.
I guarantee it, based on our experience here, the next big rise that the market has in general, right? And not just Cardano, but we're going to see more sell-offs. Like any big moves in the market, you got people who right now are feeling a little bit nervous, feeling the fear, and once they see a move to the upside, they're going to take some profits, and that's part of the process, part of the long-term game. And hey, if you're one of those people taking profits, I think there's no shame in that, especially if you're depending on where you invested when you got into the coin or the project, right? Like you may be significantly up, and it's a smart thing to take some profits along the way so you can buy in during these dips, during these downturns, like the almost 50% that we've had, off of our all-time highs for so many coins, so many projects.
Yeah, I would definitely wouldn't start seeing all this green. I wouldn't start seeing that now. Wait until everyone's fearful and start to be greedy. And when people are greedy, start to be fearful.
Yeah.
Take that self-assessment, right? Because when you look at Bitcoin, so Bitcoin's at 44.6 right now. 45,000 is a round number that your brain thinks about, right? Nobody thinks about $44,668 to be at a paywall. They look at 45,000. They're like, okay, that's where people are. The whole numbers make sense to us, right? So like most people, they're going to have that in their brain, and that's why you see that every time we fluctuate in that $5,000 region, right? And that's where you're going to see that resistance coming.
Yeah, and the exact resistance, like band or line from all of my technical analysis channels that we're looking for right now is about 4,600. So 4,600 or 46,500. Excuse me. So right around this range. That's kind of like that psychological barrier, along with the charts that depending on what you're trying to do, just something to watch, something to pay close attention to.
Yeah. Definitely. All right, let's jump into our first article. Okay, I gotta go first. Brazil's second largest city to accept tax payment in crypto by 2023. So this article is by CoinGate. It says here, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil's most populous city, is taking major strides towards becoming a global crypto hub. Rio will become the first Brazilian city to accept property tax payments in crypto starting in 2023. Eduardo Paes, mayor of Rio, has now confirmed the proposal to adopt crypto for tax payments. So it also says here, that a study was conducted by Crypto Rio study to see the benefits of crypto and to consider this plan where they want to invest 1% of the city's treasury into crypto. Here we have a Twitter post by CZ, the CEO of Binance, talking to Mayor Eduardo Paes of Rio de Janeiro, talking about how Binance will open up an office. I mean, that's awesome. That's, we see so many countries moving in that direction, especially, Latin American countries, which, typically have pretty unstable currency. It says right here, since El Salvador made Bitcoin legal tender last year, Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, Panama, Mexico, and Cuba have started considering adopting cryptocurrencies. And for the same reasons that we've been talking about, right? The value of Bitcoin, especially compared to, a lot of these places' currency, has a comparatively stable value. We give it a lot of criticism for for fluctuating so much, but when you compare that to like places like Argentina and Turkey and Brazil that have inflated 1,000%, 50% fluctuations don't sound so bad when you're talking about 1,000% inflation.
Makes our 7% not so bad.
Yeah.
I think Binance establishing and posting up in any location is like a bullish signal for that location.
Yeah.
Because they're looking for the most crypto friendly. I know they've gotten a lot of flack and a lot of like trouble from regulatory bodies as far as like, they not having physical locations. So it's interesting to watch, as more and more physical locations pop up and paying attention to where they're putting down, their pegs, where they're located.
Mm-hmm.
I think it means something. So just building this vacation list, honestly, of like
vacation list,
like places that I want to go visit, like Rio de Janeiro now, Bitcoin City, El Salvador,
because when
Satoshi Island.
And the reason that I think that is because look at all the countries that are doing the best right now. They're the early adopters of the last decade's newest technology. Mm-hmm. And so, you look at these places that have traditionally, just because, they're in a certain country ranking based on, right, per capita, right, just because based on GDP, just because based on, freedom index, whatever you want to take, those standings don't need to stay the same. Yeah. And the smaller a country is, the easier it is for them to move. They have more agility in them than a big old country, like the US, China, Russia. It takes a long time to turn a big ship.
Yeah. And I think this is a pivotal moment in time in the grand scheme of things. And it's like one country back in the day saying, I don't think internet's going to be a big thing, I don't really need to invest in it, I don't think internet or
those countries
capability and infrastructure, like how well did that work out? So let's maybe not sleep on the next wave of technology, the next innovation that's going on in the world that's going to make huge changes, the way we do business, the way we do everything, the way we approach life. And I'm excited to see some of these countries who have been struggling because of things like their hyperinflation. It's going to be able to give them a leg up and allow them to make that jump to not be so behind, not be left in the dust.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. All right. Speaking of countries not taking full advantage of new innovations, White House office seeks public opinion on crypto climate implications. This article is brought to you by Cointelegraph. So it says here, following up on the recent executive order signed by President Joe Biden, the OSTP, or the Office of Science and Technology Policy, reached out to the general public to identify the energy and climate implications related to digital assets. President Joe Biden signed an executive order that's set on 6 key areas: customer and investor protection, financial stability, financial inclusion, responsible innovations, the United States global financial leadership, and combating illicit financial activity. Here we have a tweet by the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, just letting people know. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely check that out. They will be, looks like they will be able to respond by 5 p.m. on May 9th, Eastern Standard Time.
I find it interesting that they're like reaching out to general public opinion about the effects on, climate and energy and all of that for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. When, I mean, the mass majority of people aren't even adopted into this new technology.
I heard someone say today, that there are more Bitcoin holders than there are people in Russia.
Yeah,
That might sound like a lot of people right now. It's really not that much.
there's a lot of people.
It's really not that much right now. And most people's understanding, our understanding, is still very limited, right?
Yeah.
This is why we continue to read every day. This is why we continue to discuss it every day. So I definitely thought this was interesting, and watch where this is gonna what really got me interested in this article. It says, in particular, the right for information, RFI, seeks comments on the protocols, hardware, resources, economics, and other factors that shape the energy use and climate impacts of all types of digital assets. According to the notice, the federal government will use the findings of the study to dictate future developments or industry trajectories related to digital assets. I don't want to say that sentence screams fascism, with a government body claiming to be the one developing or forming industry trajectories, but that's kind of the definition of it. And this is the part about regulatory clarity that really that definitely concerns me. Because anytime you have somebody wanting to make wanting clarity, they're not doing that because it's going to put them at a disadvantage. This is the problem that we face over and over again in politics. It's that the people making the policies are making it for their own self-interest.
Yeah,
and they're setting it up in ways that's helping them. Just like who was the best stock trader last year? Nancy Pelosi. What did she say when she was presented with the idea that the Senate and the House shouldn't be able to invest in the areas that they regulate? They should have the right to invest in the areas that they regulate. Sounds like insider trading conflicts.
Yeah, they just want to tax it. We've already been through that a million times in our podcast, right? Like that's really what it comes down to. And also, perhaps positioning themselves to best know how to take advantage, because the rich need to stay rich, and that's what they're trying to do. But hopefully, they don't extend that hand, overreach, overregulate, and allow us, to get involved too.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I think you're talking about this, or maybe this, something related to this. Yeah. So we can actually just save that to later then.
Yeah.
All right. So Exxon plans to use excess natural gas to mine Bitcoin. This article is from Crypto Potato. So the oil and gas giant has been leveraging Bitcoin mining to reduce its flare gas emissions. ExxonMobil, a major multinational oil and gas corporation, is considering leveraging Bitcoin mining to make an even greater profit from excess oil production. The company may take its gas to Bitcoin pilot to multiple countries after already using 18 million cubic feet of gas per month for this purpose. Bloomberg reported Exxon is currently burning excess natural gas from North Dakota oil wells. They're using it that this would have otherwise been burned off due to.
Seems a little better than that coal waste, right?
It seems a little better than that coal waste, and this would have been burned off anyways due to pipeline storage.
Put it to good use.
This is what I was talking about, like with Germany, for example, right? Is the population sentiment, right, wasn't comfortable with nuclear power in the last couple of decades. So, they decided that they wanted to move away from it. So they started to move away from it, and onto, clean energies. But they started to shut down the nuclear power plants before they had the energy replaced by another method. So what ended up happening is they went through an energy crisis, and needed to buy coal from Russia and the rest of the EU to make up for the deficit in their energy that actually ended up increasing their carbon footprint. So like, I forget the name. What was the pipeline? First thing Biden did, right?
Keystone.
Yeah, Keystone Pipeline. The thing that people forget is that pipelines look like the American freeway system. They're all over the place. And you could have shut down that one pipeline. That's fine, but that's not going to make the dent that you think it is, right? And what it does is it actually forces us to spend more energy to get the same thing that the pipeline would have. And here we go. This is part of the ramifications of that, right? So it says here, this information isn't known to the public, but and the source, wanted to remain anonymous, but they said that Alaska, Nigeria, Argentina, what's that one, Jason? Guyana and Germany are all areas where it's planning to do the same thing, right? Use this excess fuel, which again, we've already made the emissions. The emissions are already there. The item is already used. It would be burned off anyways. They want to use it to put that into Bitcoin. Like, that's awesome. An Exxon spokeswoman actually refused to comment on these rumors, but did state, that Exxon is always looking at emerging technologies. There's definitely a bunch more in here, and this is an interesting article. But I think the way that we go about this again is considering the way that each of our actions is going to affect the next step, right? We can't just shut off energy production because it's bad for the environment without having a viable solution in hand. Like, I want to make that tradition, I agree, but that transition. But you can't just turn off your power, and expect to go green. So it says, of course, this also helps to reduce the carbon footprint, which also helps the company, meet its expectations by the World Bank for reducing or ending flaring. It says Bitcoin's harmful effects regarding energy emissions still dominate the current political discourse. We definitely understand that. New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who otherwise supported crypto adoption, still opposes it based on the environmental grounds. And the EU also, well, they put it on pause, but they were pretty close to banning proof of work. It's rumored that this has been rejected, but it's technically been tabled for now, and it's technically been paused for the time being. I think that would be a really unfortunate thing for the EU because it would drive out Bitcoin mining. This is internet. People will go where they're allowed to do it.
Yeah, I think they understand that. That's why it wasn't pushed through outright.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed this article. I think of my late nanny. She would always say, "Waste not, want not." It's a good thing if that energy is going to be burned anyway. Put it to some Bitcoin.
Let's use it.
Let's do it.
Good point. All right, moving on.
All right, so jumping into the field, my quick articles here, you guys. This one's from Cointelegraph. Nexo and Amber Group executives claim exponential growth in the crypto industry, institutional investment, excuse me. So Nexo is, a large platform exchange that's, really into decentralized finance and lending services, specifically, to institutional investors, but also for retail investors. They partnered with Fidelity, Digital Asset Group, and they were really seeing this taking off. They have interest, they have exponential growth, is exactly how they described it in terms of institutional onboarding into cryptocurrency. Let's see here what else we have. So they point out here, with mass adoption, however, like we've talked about many times, right? Like comes regulation, and that's not necessarily always a bad thing. This article really goes into detail about how big, large institutional money, right? Like they may not be looking for these 70 to 80% to 3,000% gains that we're experiencing in the crypto, markets, but looking for more consistent traditional returns of 7 to 12% when you're dealing with such large amounts of money as they are, is something that they're more interested in. So, we're going to see continued adoption from large institutions, but I think when it gets to the point where the market, has really stabilized and found like a solid bottom, or not even bottom, just a solid range of growth, we're gonna, that's when everyone will be involved. That's when you and I won't be able to afford Bitcoin, though. We won't be able to afford Ethereum. We won't be able to afford to get in unless it's fractions, Satoshis, as it's described for Bitcoin, right?
When it's readily available, it'll be too expensive for the
it'll be
average
too
person.
late. So just paying attention, to, this institutional adoption, because that's really the precursor. That's really, showing us where it's heading, where it's going. All right, jumping into my next article here. This one is also from cryptopotato.com. 2.3 million cash to Bitcoin money laundering scheme busted in New York.
Ooh, take that, security skeptics.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about, that's one of the biggest concerns or biggest, FUD stories out there, right? That Bitcoin and crypto is used for our drug deals and human trafficking and
illicit
all
activities.
And that's all it's for. But, this is proof right here. So according to this recent Bloomberg report, a 42-year-old man called Thomas Spiker was indicted for allegedly running a cash to Bitcoin money laundering operation in New York. So he was bragging about this. He was like talking to his friends, convincing them in public situations, as well as all over social media, and bragging that he was helping clients and customers, who include people who run credit card scam sites, as well as ketamine dealers. So drug dealing, credit card scams, all those scary illicit things that people are claiming that Bitcoin's only used for. It was happening in a small portion. And yeah, $2.3 million is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but in this big scheme of things, in terms of how much money's out there and flowing through the economies of the world, it's really not that much.
None of us ever said that no Bitcoin or cryptocurrency is used for a living. None of us said that it doesn't happen.
In fact, I'll say it does happen, because bad people, bad actors, bad situations always find a way. And this is a great example of them not being able to get away with it when it comes to the use of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And it also points out in this article, which I love to see, that major banks facilitated over $2 trillion in dirty money over a span of multitude of years. So I wish it said specifically the range of years. I would like to know exactly what years they're talking about.
Multiple years, a little ambiguous.
$2 trillion though is a lot, and it just goes to show you that traditional finance, the way the world works now, is not the perfect deterrent to illicit activity. So just because some of it may carry over into a new monetary economic system, doesn't mean that you should just turn it down, because let me tell you, it already exists, it's already happening, and traditional finance and traditional banking is a catalyst for it right now. So if you're against any hopes of illicit activity happening, I don't know, you need to go live on the island next to Satoshi Island with
Fairyland
people and not be involved with anyone, because bad people are out there.
So I mean, think about what's easier to use illicit activity for: cash or digital transactions?
Yeah.
Which one's more
traceable?
traceable?
Public immutable ledger.
Which one's more traceable?
Erased or altered.
Can you log in?
Can
you log into the $100 bill to see whose hand it's been through? No. You can look at the Bitcoin to see whose hand it's been through.
Yeah. I love the way this article ends too. But sure, the sprawling web of international money laundering helped drug traffickers and organized crime ring and scammers hide their criminal activity, as if legacy institutions haven't been accused of doing this for years. And again, years, pretty, not non-specific, but it's happening. It's been happening. It's going to continue to happen. So let's push forward and improve the technology, improve cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, embrace the innovation, and of course, try to minimize illicit activity along the way. I think everyone wants that, especially people invested in the projects. It's not a good look for Bitcoin. It's not a good look for crypto. So let's work together and minimize it.
Yeah, not to that reminds me, is think about, why would somebody want to hurt Bitcoin, for example? Oh, because they
They're-
want to exploit it for its money.
They're
Okay, but
investing
if
in the
you-
traditional finance system.
But if you're
properly.
if you're invested into Bitcoin, hurting it would decrease the value and would defeat the purpose, right?
Yeah.
Attacking the system is only going to hurt the system.
Yeah, it's
you
probably-
can't get money
Probably
out
Peter
of it.
Schiff here spreading some FUD because he wants gold to go up.
Yeah,
Something
it's
like that,
it's
so.
pretty backwards.
Right here, if you're listening, Peter Schiff, leave us a comment. All right, this next article, cryptosaurus.com. I know we've talked a lot about Terra Luna lately, but I mean, gosh, we just love it, all about it. And this protocol's TVL has doubled since February. We did talk about the TVL for Terra. We brought up DeFi Llama, one of our greatest resources we use for looking at total value locked in all the top chains.
It's up here too.
But Terra Luna has had great growth, and I love what they say. This tweet says here. It says, "I'll tell you a secret. While other chains have been busy being the ETH killers and who had the biggest TVL, Terra was focused on creating the gold standard of decentralized money for every chain. It was never about Terra as a chain. It was always about UST for every chain, Luna." We know that with every creation of every UST, Luna is burned. So it makes sense as they look to adopt a cross chain and have cross chain capability for the stablecoin UST. I mean, that's only going to increase Terra Luna kind of by default. So instead of trying to come up and be the big bad Solana or Polkadot that have claimed or been claimed to be ETH killers, right? The next top layer 1 protocol. Terra Luna is just really focused on being involved in the entire ecosystem, and that's boding really well for them. They've continued to rise 70% in the last 30 days. I mean, that's just incredible, especially considering the environment that we're in right now when it comes to the cryptocurrency space and the economy in general. It's gone from 13 billion TVL to 26 billion. Yeah, so literally doubled, 50%.
That's incredible.
And like I said, in this climate, that is so impressive, something to continue to watch. And we are, invested in Terra Luna. But this is not financial advice. None of this is. But I mean, when you see that much money pouring in and the total value locked doubling in a span of months, especially when the narrative is kind of scared and kind of bottom indicator, like fear level.
You make the best gains on coins when you catch the explosion, when you catch the coin before it explodes, right? Because you understand the use and where it's going. And that can mean different things, right? It means something different for Bitcoin, our digital gold. It means something different from Shiba Inu, right? Which is the meme coin that creators made to have use, and it means something different for for smart contract platforms for Luna like this.
Yeah, well, just speaking from experience and watching the markets, being involved in it, watching Terra Luna. I mean, just a few months ago, during the last kind of huge dip downturn we had in the market, Terra Luna was $4. So I mean, growth can happen in what seems like a long time when you're living through it, watching the markets every day, but really in a matter of a few months, I mean, it's not a long time when it comes to an investing schedule, at all. So just continue to watch this coin. I love this quote. It ends off with this article. It says, "Smart contract tokens exclusive of Terra are down 12% over the last 30 years. Meanwhile, Terra is up 76% in the same period." So definitely outperforming. I'm not going to call it an ETH killer. I just think that they've been focusing on the right things, focusing on their ecosystem, focusing on, the adoption and cross-chain capability of UST, and it's working out well for them.
Yeah, I think he meant 30 days, you guys, not 30 years.
Oh, did I say 30 years?
It's all good.
Hey, in 30 years, we're going to be on Satoshi Island, just living there.
Oh,
not
perfect.
having to work anymore, but
all right,
doing this for fun.
So here you can see on DeFi Llama, you can see, look at that. That's right here. You can see it's the yellow one on the total value, and look how much it's taken. It's overtaken. That green one is Binance right there. See that? And Binance has been losing market share. Ethereum's been losing share. But here's Terra Luna.
It's eating up into the other layer ones, and it's eating down into Ethereum.
It's eating it.
Opening its mouth wide.
All right.
All right, last article, you guys, that I have here. I found this on Yahoo Finance, so market.businessinsider.com. And Janet Yellen says crypto has its benefits, and the Treasury hopes to offer guidance on regulations that foster healthy innovation. So, quite often in the most recent times, we've heard nothing but FUD and
Negativity.
like comments from Janet Yellen around cryptocurrency. But it seems to be taking a turn, and this.
It seems to be taking a turn. Yeah, healthy innovation. I'm from the government, and I'm here to help.
How does it benefit me? That's pretty healthy, I think. But here we have U.S. Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen nod to the benefits offered by cryptocurrency, stating that the Treasury wants to provide guidance for future regulation and supports innovation in space. So we just had Joe Biden come out with his executive order, kind of detailing and requesting clarity from the regulatory bodies.
Studying information.
And she's coming out basically saying the same thing, supporting that narrative. That she's saying the benefits of crypto are apparent, which is so different from anything I've ever heard out of her mouth. She says, we recognize that innovation in the payment system can be a healthy thing. So finally coming around, finally seeing that cryptocurrency has grown beyond the means of her or any government being able to squash it completely. So they've got to embrace it. They've got to figure out how to regulate it the best they can. And there's, specific points here that she points out as the reasons, right, and concerns that she still has over cryptocurrencies, which is related to financial stability. Obviously, a new emerging market's going to have financial instability in some ways in the beginning.
Thanks, Captain. Points out the obvious a lot.
Janet Yellen. Consumer and investor protection, your favorite line, Barnaby.
From the government, I'm here to help.
We're being protected from being able to invest in the things that we want
in
to.
The highest growing asset in history.
But and their use in illicit transactions, which we literally just spent an entire article telling you all about how that's not the case. Well, in any more so than the traditional financial system, right? So here it just talks about that executive order from Biden that we just went over. Cyber is a real risk, and we recognize we have vulnerabilities, and we're doing everything we can to be prepared to deal with that and up our defense, Yellen said. So how can we get a hold of this? How can we make the most money? How can we tax it to our benefit and set ourselves in the position where we can also make hand over fist money with the cryptocurrency market and this emerging technology? So definitely interesting to see this about face and, telling of where the market's going to go, because the more that, the US and these other public figures, financial figures embrace this technology, the more adoption is going to come, and the more institutional adoption is going to come. And it's going to be good for all of us who are investing in cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm. Don't believe what the government tells you, though.
Yeah.
They're not here to protect you.
Side note. But all right, that's all I got, you guys. As always, please feel free to subscribe, smash the likes, give us a comment. Helps with the algorithm and all that good stuff. We appreciate you listening to our podcast. If you're listening to Cryptocurrency and Coffee, and just continue to learn along with us and on your own.
Yeah, and if you haven't already, come follow us on Ryan Harris Crypto on YouTube. We have differentiated the two.
Yeah.
But yes, please support us.
We're here for all knowledge, all crypto knowledge.
And yes, we're here for the journey.
All right, take care, you guys.
Thanks, guys.